It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
Hello, nerds, and welcome to another episode of the NerdyVerse series on Nerd Herder Podcast. I always trip up because there's so many nerds,
They really are.
except there's only two, and I'm one of them. I'm John.
I'm here too.
Yes, you are. And I'm glad you are, although you may not be when we get into this conversation, because I don't feel like you're going to have a good time.
Listen, man, I have opinions about these movies. I've alluded to them before.
Yes.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not going to yuck anybody's yums.
If you don't, we won't really have content then, will we? So, I mean, we're here to yuck some yums, man.
Okay, I came here to yuck yums and chew bubblegum, and
I'm all out of bubble gum. So we previewed it on our last episode. If you didn't listen to that, then shame on you.
How dare you?
But that we are discussing the Halloween film series.
Yes.
Recently got a new addition to the series. And
Which we had wildly differing opinions on.
not really, not as much as you think. I just didn't talk about it because I wanted to podcast.
True.
Kept the suspense. There you go. But no, yeah, Halloween Kills recently released. We've watched it. We enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And wanting to talk about that, but also find a way to talk about just the plethora of sequels, the 12, soon to be 13 films
Jeez
in the
Louise.
Halloween series that aren't all connected.
On 3 different timelines.
Yeah, at four,
Four.
technically,
Technically
if
four.
if you count the reboot,
Well,
it's an alternate timeline.
technically,
they're
Silver
all
Shamrock
alternate.
still exists, but still.
So here's what I've got to go ahead and say, all right? And so, yes, welcome to the podcast. This is where we talk about not Star Wars. If you want the Star Wars, that's on our main series that will have a new episode next week. For now, we're talking about other things we enjoy, which, considering it's the spooky season, and we have not had an opportunity to talk about Halloween on Halloween, we're taking advantage of that. We're doing it all in one because it's just such a mental anguish. It's like, if you're gonna get it at all, you got to get it all in one.
If you thought that the Saw movies had a lot of plot,
Oh my
Oh my
gosh!
gosh.
Yeah, we did this bit back then, and that's part of why I want to get a one and done, very
because we don't want to talk about it
broad.
anymore.
Well, because like the more you talk about it and the more you try and walk through it, and I enjoy the Saw movies. I have to say,
Oh yeah, big time.
if that's not clear from those episodes, or if you go back and listen and that's not clear, they are enjoyable. I
Yeah.
enjoy the tapestry of story, but that story is also buried under a lot of B movie
Da-na-na,
bad
da-na-na,
acting.
da-na-na-na.
Like, it's just such a monsterish amalgamation.
Yeah.
So like I can enjoy that and still say that it's not very good.
No.
Here though, I can't say I enjoy it as much, and I can't say much of it is very good.
No.
So I feel like we're already upsetting people. Hopefully, I don't know how many Halloween Michael Myers fans we have.
I
and
can't think of a single one off the top of my
It's
head.
one of those sort of untouchables. Like, it's viewed as, if you love horror, if you love slasher films, if you like Halloween films, you like these movies, I guess. But I just don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And so wanting to kind of dive through all of these in one and discuss them all in one, and kind of make comparisons as well, because Halloween Kills being a sequel to a sequel-ish,
Yeah.
reboot-ish film.
It's not technically a trilogy. It's a quadrilogy.
It's quadrilogy because technically it attaches to the first one. But
Yeah.
either way,
Halloween Kills.
we now have this very
whatever.
modern Halloween that a lot of people enjoy.
Yeah.
It's of a much better quality than films before it, and so I think once again Michael Myers has risen to the top echelon of horror icons.
And this time he earned it.
But yeah, for a time he was kind of just riding the lightning of the first movie,
Yep.
really. So so what I was going to say before that, and as we dive in, we won't be talking about Halloween 3 technically because it's not a Halloween movie,
But it is my favorite Halloween
and we talked
movie.
about it separately. and it's not a Michael Myers movie, which I
No.
think is the minimum requirement um, for this series. It doesn't attach to anything
Yeah.
other than some very appreciated references in some of the newer films. Um, otherwise, you couldn't even tell it existed.
Oh, seeing the masks in the trailer for Halloween Kills is what sold the movie for me,
Yeah,
which I was already excited about it, but,
which
like,
I'm fine with it being just a visual reference, it not actually meaning anything. Um, Obviously, they aren't the masks, but
yeah,
so
they're
that
similar
said,
enough.
though, watch Halloween 3. It's a good
Please.
movie. It's just not a good Halloween movie, and it has nothing to do with Michael Myers.
I get so many varied reactions when I say that Halloween 3 is my favorite Halloween movie.
That's purely based on quality, though.
Yeah.
And that's again for this conversation. It's the idea of like it's not fair including it
Mm-mm.
because it has nothing to do with everything else. Um, and that's arguably part of why it's actually really good too. Is it's its own movie. So
Yeah.
I like to refer to it just as Season of the Witch because I mean I just think it's its own entity.
Mhm.
It just
It's so
due
good.
to poor decision making got tacked onto the series. As soon as they made Halloween 2, John Carpenter and Deborah, I believe is her name,
Deborah Hill, yeah.
um, their original vision for an Halloween anthology series died.
Yeah.
As soon as they were talked into continuing or even quote unquote ending the story that they had originally began in Halloween, their original idea was over because that's what Season of the Witch was.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's just it was one of these things like, all right, Michael Myers is dead now. Can we do what we want to do? And then they do it, and everybody craps on them because audiences didn't get it, which I understand.
I get
You know,
it, but it's such a good movie.
so there's our first hottest take, I guess, of
Super hot
is
take.
that Halloween 3 is one of the best classic Halloween movies.
Yeah.
It's just not included in this list.
No, and I think, the original Halloween gets a lot of credit for being one of the first American slashers. It's not the first. I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Right.
Black Christmas is the first American slasher. It's not even American, really. It was just popular in America.
Right. And it was just very under the waves.
Yeah. So
This
good.
it was like this
Maniac is another one.
Halloween 1978 when it came out.
Yeah.
John Carpenter's Halloween. It was lightning in a bottle of the right people knowing the right
Mhm.
people with the right passionate and willing crew that made a movie happen that shouldn't have been popularized that but again foot in the door got on the major airwaves and so
Mhm.
it's the first critically acclaimed and widely recognized slasher film, yes, but not the
Yeah.
first. No
It
first
changed
is the
horror movies.
first.
No.
But yes, but it changed it because it got to the top. It got
Yep.
a voice, and that's why, like, I feel like horror is such an unevolved film series because it's just constantly
We're trying to
un.
recapture.
Yeah, and it's always in the basement. Like it's always, and some people think that get like real horror is not mainstream or what. I don't think that matters.
No.
But to get good horror movies, we have to get into the mainstream.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We both hate the term elevated horror for a reason.
Right. Yeah, it like when you talk about horror movies and the ones they mention are like Get Out,
Fantastic.
Hereditary, like good movies, but they're movies that it's only because of the names attached to them. It's only because of
Yes.
a certain actor in them. It's only because of somebody knowing somebody.
Yeah, I mean, and those movies are fantastic in their own right because they're creative, they're unique. But you can also look at a movie like Behind the Mask,
Hmm.
which is a slasher movie,
Yeah.
and say, "Oh my gosh, that is just as creative and unique," but it still gets swept under the rug as quote unquote
Right.
horror
Well, and
trash.
Hell House is a
Hell
really good one.
House.
Really, really good example of a good,
Love
very
that movie.
movies that just get passed over.
The Haunting of Deborah Logan,
And so
or The Taking of Deborah Logan.
if it wasn't for films like Halloween, yes, we wouldn't have many of the films we got later. But Halloween's a perfect example of why mainstream horror works.
Mhm.
I will say this got by a lot because it wasn't
There
grindhouse
was
horror.
no blood.
It was it just it it didn't do what a lot of people think, but it didn't take away from the story they were trying to
Yeah.
sell. So Halloween in and of itself is the Beatles of horror movies, I think. In
And
that
you
like
hate the
it
Beatles.
revolutionized things um, without necessarily being the end all be all spectacular thing. I don't think Halloween is the best like horror movie, Halloween movie. I don't. It's good. It is
Yeah.
really really
It's a
good.
great movie and it's iconic.
It is. And I just think it's again that lightning in the bottle of like it's not something somebody storyboarded or worked on to make it that way. It just is what it is. It's this beautiful passion project.
All of the best movies happen by accident.
So I mean, we've kind of discussed it now and walking through the first film, but what are some of your biggest thoughts on the first film?
It's Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I just wanted to say for anybody expecting a shot by shot,
No.
this is it. We're just talking about the films.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is very general.
we would need a lot of illegal substances in our system to willingly discuss every detail of these ridiculous movies.
A
So,
tree fitty and some Chuck E. Cheese pizza, yeah.
but in big thoughts, the biggest elevatedest thoughts you have
Oh, my big
on
brain
Halloween. Yeah,
thoughts.
big brain thoughts on Halloween.
Ooh, so wrinkly. Um, well, I think, like I said, it is one of the most iconic movies to ever exist because it is unique in the way that it was made. Like, it was made by a bunch of weird kids who just wanted to make a good movie.
Yeah,
It was originally the Babysitter Murders.
yeah,
So,
and it was all always built on just
yeah,
the idea of stalker, like
exactly. That's
the
what made it scary.
these very normal relatable characters tracked down by this very unexplicable, and
The shape.
persisting presence of evil. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, and that's one of their things going back. Like I think the first Halloween movie benefits from a lot of the later films sucking because it, in retrospect, looks so much
Yeah.
better.
Well, and it's so wonderfully shot as well. It's got some of the best
It
sustained Steadicam
it's a
shots.
great example, and I'll even compare it to The Grudge, the
Mm,
original, the real one.
the good one.
um, where like cinematography in that film is
Beautiful.
amazing. The quality overall, like like it's like workshop. It's like playwright. Like
Mhm.
it's
But
nothing to gawk at,
the shots of Kyako coming out of the closet,
but it's so yeah. It's
fantastic.
so well done. You don't linger on the quality.
Yeah.
And Halloween is exactly that, where like they knew how to make a good
Yeah.
movie.
And that's all the vision of John Carpenter, who is a fantastic director. Like, if you have not traipsed through his filmography, do yourself a favor. Skip The Invisible Man.
Well, that was actually part of what got this made was this weird guy with a talent,
Yeah.
John Carpenter, that they gave this movie to. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's a really good movie, and again, I think it's this very reverent thing, and I wouldn't take any of that away. But
No.
it's a really good movie that just never quite until more recent years got followed up well.
Yeah.
Halloween 2 eventually came out, and like I said, that came out to put an end to the Michael Myers story because
Yeah.
the idea originally was every year we'd have a new scary story. But
To Tell
then
in the Dark, yes.
nobody would shut up about Michael Myers.
Exactly. Like, that's the problem with how iconic it is
Ex-
that
right.
you have an icon.
Yeah, and you have the pressure to do something with it.
Yeah.
Um, especially with such a cliffhanger that the first one gives us too.
Yeah.
Um, and so Halloween 2 comes along, and I feel
It's
like,
fine.
yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of good stuff to it, but it's definitely that sort of parsley follow up of just like we're literally we're making this movie because money, like
Mhm.
which isn't a bad reason. Jobs are a thing,
Yeah.
like there's a really great interview with Christopher Lee about how much he hated the Dracula movies,
Yeah.
where he
He
talks
needed to pay
about
bills, though.
yeah he talks about like who was I to deny people jobs.
Mhm.
Like he literally took his job so 100 other people had jobs, and it's just one of those things where it's just like I feel like that's what this film really is
Yeah.
it, it's taking something that guarantees work for people, and at the end of the day it gets to be okay.
Yeah.
um I liked the follow this is the only sequel Dr. Loomis I like.
Yes, because after this, he just goes full nut job, crazy Loomis.
Yeah, I don't mind him in the first one.
No.
Most of what I want to talk about the first one, we'll circle back to when I talk about the remake.
Yeah.
But as far as sequels go, yeah, in this one, it's very much just like he's now seen the horror. Like, yeah, he had a crazy kid, um, for those 15 years in the hospital with him, but nothing ever happened that gave him reason
Yeah.
to be crazy.
No, I think we're supposed to I think we're supposed to read that seeing the horrors that Michael wrought was what drove him crazy.
Exactly. And so this one gives him a reason to be more.
Yeah.
And I get now because you talked about like with Halloween Kills, it's like, oh, it's Halloween 2.
Yeah.
It's better, but
Yeah.
I get it of it. It definitely didn't know what to do with this final girl survivor. It didn't know what to do with this villain.
Mhm.
Like, how do we escalate him? How do we make him more? Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
We make them siblings, apparently.
Exactly. And you know what? I think something that I forgot to mention is that I think one of the big failures of the Halloween franchise is how much of a blank slate Michael is. Like, instead of
Yeah.
getting better in the later films, like Freddy Krueger, for instance, in my
Mhm.
opinion, he just continued to be nothing, really.
Well, it gave too many opportunity for every director to tell a
Yeah.
different story, and that's the inconsistency that we feel like we get as the films go on. It just feels like they continue to add on something like, here's the thing: if you can justify Michael, you can justify the movie,
Yeah.
right? So clearly, him continuing to come back, this obsession with Jamie or with this family, like it has to come from somewhere. It has to be purposeful, because otherwise, why make the movie? Right? The only time the film is 80% unrelated to anything Myers-ish is Halloween Resurrections.
Ugh.
And we see what kind of garbage that is. So it's just like,
Yeah.
because like, what's that? Like, other than the first 30 minutes, what does that have to do with the Halloween story?
Not a single G-dang thing.
Right. So that it's constantly coming back of like, we have to justify Michael.
We got
You know,
you see, John, they spent so much time wondering if they could,
whatever.
but they didn't think about if they
Well,
should.
Freddie, you brought him up, so
Love
Freddie.
that boy.
Freddie went through the same thing. Every film felt like, wait, didn't we kill this guy? How in
Yeah.
the heck? Oh, because see, you thought it was demons. Turns out it's Satan, or like
It's
we had to
because
escalate.
It's because Robert Englund is one of the most charismatic dudes in the entire universe.
He just makes you want to make another movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Halloween 2, Halloween and Halloween 2, I think are a good pair.
I agree.
I think Halloween 2 is good enough to follow up. I think it wraps up well. Loomis is dead. Myers is supposedly dead. And at the end of the day, our main girl, Lori, gets to survive.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
the end of the series.
I feel like that's good.
Yeah.
And of course, then they try to venture off. They have their little season of the witch. And then
Yes,
eventually
the
come
best
back.
movie.
It's funny how Myers and Voorhees had the same exchange, right? They both had one movie where it was not about them, and then they come back with a vengeance.
Except Season of the Witch is good.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Like,
I'll give you that one, hands down. Yeah, part 4, not good.
No.
Not great.
Not good at all.
But immediately followed up with a really good movie.
Yes, agreed. Unlike Halloween 4.
Yeah, so Halloween 4 and 5. So there's a universe where Halloween 1, does it go right into The Return?
No, it's Halloween
No, right,
1,
because
Halloween
Loomis
2,
is burned. So
and then
4 and 5.
H2O. And then
No, 4 and 5.
Nope, 4 and 5.
Yeah, we haven't gotten
That's
to H2O
right.
yet. I was trying to remember which one skipped Halloween 2. This one follows up because Loomis is burned.
Yes.
Because somehow
How'd he get
that
burned?
sucker.
How'd he get burned?
and the fact that they didn't give him a scar over his eyes so he could
Dude.
just be Blofeld again.
He was just Blofeld.
Which, can I just
Can we talk about that
can
for
I
a
point
second?
out that like he went from at least in my eyes, like
In your one
his
scarred eye.
Blofeld is really good. A
Oh.
great villain to our illustrious James Bond, right?
Not only is he Blofeld, but he's also Nosferatu Vampire in Venice.
Really?
Yes, he is
Oh,
fantastic.
no wonder he's so problematic. So
well,
yeah,
he's not Nosferatu. He plays a kind of Jonathan Harker
he
character.
didn't even get to be the guy.
He was great.
He could
though.
have been. He could have been
He
because
could have
he is
been.
insane. Like I don't think a lot of this was just the character and him being
No,
like
it's just Donald Pleasance.
it's just him. Like there's so many stories of him just being freaking wasted on set for like the scene where in the first one they're driving up, they see the people like wandering around because Michael broke out. He was
schwiggity
like
schwasted,
if you watch that back, all the scenes where he's just like like
Michael Myers.
he's drunk.
Yes.
Dude's wasted. And I'm just like, what happened? What happened between James Bond and Michael Myers to this poor man?
Alcoholism.
And then he just keeps coming back and keeps getting worse. Like, there's a point in this story where Dr. Loomis is the villain.
Oh, it's from like
And it's
Halloween
before Rob Zombie.
4 on. That is
It's
when
just-
Dr. Loomis is the
You
villain.
can't redeem him. So like 4 and 5 like are a
They're
twofer
fine.
as well. So in this one, after Halloween 2, Laurie survives,
Yes.
meets a man. Maybe it's Ben Tramer. No, it's not because he died in Halloween 2. Never mind.
That's right.
So she doesn't even get her happy ending. Joe
Nobody.
Joe Money, they meet in the cafe, Halloweeners, and fall in love, have a kid, car accident.
Or
now,
accident.
Now the kid ends up pulling a Laurie Strode.
Mommy
right?
is in a sanitarium.
So the same thing that
Leave her
happened
be.
before, tragedy strikes the Myers family, and then Laurie is put up for adoption, taken by this other family.
Oh no, Jamie.
Uh,
Jamie is her name.
In this one, that's what I'm saying, is
Oh.
what happened to Laurie happened to Jamie.
Right.
It's all
right.
poetry,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
It rhymes.
That's the point. So we end up with Michael's niece as the main character.
So stupid.
And I almost like what the fourth one did. There's so much stuff that goes on, but essentially there's this whole like culty thing, whatever.
The Cult of the Thorn.
It's not as big until Halloween 5, and at least Halloween 4, it's a solid. Michael's still alive, finds out he has a niece, and goes after
Yes.
her, and then the niece somehow seemingly
She has a psychic
the crazy.
connection
yeah,
with Michael.
because psychics were all the rage.
Oh yeah.
In the late 80s, early 2000s. And so, yeah, like the fourth one's not horrible. I mean, it's as good as Jason Takes Manhattan.
Ooh, that's not very good.
Very low for
That's
you.
not very good at all.
See, I still can watch that movie and have fun.
I like Jason X.
I can still, okay. So I would say maybe this is the Jason X. Halloween 5 is the Jason Takes Manhattan.
Ugh.
Right? Okay.
Ugh.
So there you go. It's not great, but it's
Jason
fun.
takes a boat.
But then they immediately follow it up with the fifth one, where, like I said, they go full cult, where for whatever reason, and I think it's explained better in I think it's called the director's cut or producer's cut. I don't
The
remember.
producer's cut, I think.
They explain it better in that there's this big cult surrounding Michael, and he's got like this caregiver, who like instructs him to carry out evil deeds, right?
He's got evil in him.
So
He is the manifestation of evil, which is the metaphor that we've been going throughout the entire series, but now we have a physical representation through the Cult of the Thorn.
yes, and so they're trying to justify the
How he keeps
the
coming back.
dialogue. Yes, that how he's so strong, unkillable, and also why Loomis fears him so much in the first one. Again, the first film does not give you a reason
No.
to be afraid of this man. Like
No.
the dude's 5'9".
Yeah.
Like everybody interprets that he's 5'9". He is average.
Jackson's taller than him.
And he's lanky. Like, I mean, if you look at him in the first film so much, he is not scary.
He's also like 23.
Yeah, it's not intimidating, okay?
No.
And then as it tacks on, it tries to say, well, he might not be intimidating, but the fact that you can't kill him, you can't stop him. If he has a mission, he's going to persist with that. They're trying to retroactively make up for
What is
it.
the
I guess.
mission? I
I
don't
don't-
understand what the mission.
Money.
Daddy, what is
Money.
the mission?
It is money. So yeah, and then Jamie kind of doesn't get to be as
She's cute. She's a cute kid. She's a
yeah
cute kid actor, but not a character.
yeah. It just doesn't follow up well.
And then she dies. And then she dies in the sixth one.
Yes.
After
So
like having Michael's baby.
not what is that? What they're trying to insinuate?
I think yes.
Really?
I am pretty darn sure.
I think it's just a baby. I think they're just trying to have a new Michael because a girl can't be Michael.
Of course not.
Because so again, it's centered all around him going after Jamie, and slowly, through Dr. Loomis's exploration, we find out more about Michael, this cult of Thorn, and blah blah blah. And it just ends up with this idea of maybe Michael's dead, but Jamie's going to be the new one. Except they never explore that.
No, they don't explore anything in these
The
movies.
cult takes Jamie. She ends up having a baby that might. I think it's meant to be the new Michael.
Well, how did she get pregnant? Is the thing.
I don't know. I don't think Michael was around. I don't think
it
Michael.
was insinuated.
I don't think Michael was handy at the moment. I think they probably asked Paul Rudd to do it. Okay, because that the best and worst part of Halloween 6
is Paul
freaking Rudd
in his first role.
Film.
He's just doing a lot.
Yeah, you enjoy him all the way, even if it doesn't make sense.
Rudd.
Yeah,
this is pre-Wet Hot American Summer Paul Rudd.
This is pre-everything Paul Rudd. And so yeah, like they try and wrap it up and tease at the same time again. So like, no, Michael is out of the picture. Somehow Loomis is involved.
This goes nowhere.
I don't know. Donald Pleasant's death changed the story because it was meant to be that he kills the cult leader, but then the responsibility of being Michael's caretaker passes to him. So it's like this. I kind of like that storyline of like, you wanted to kill this guy, now you can't. Now you're obligated to him.
Here's the thing: 4, 5, and 6 are basically just like the film representation of throwing spaghetti against the wall and just being like, "How about this?"
Here's the thing:
what do you think of this?
Do something. Do something else. Get a different character. Why did it have to be Michael Myers? Only because the mask and the name sold these movies. Like they at least got people to try them.
Let's talk about The Mask for a second. First movie, Mask is beautiful. It looks scary.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like,
lovely.
oh, it's based on.
It's Captain Kirk.
We know.
Yeah, we know.
We know.
After that, it just slowly degrades in quality until we get to Halloween 2018, which
I think is because they tried to make something. I guess because like the first one, it was literally go out and find a couple of masks.
Yeah.
And fun fact, the clown mask that Child Michael wears in the opening scene was the second choice. So that was the person that went and got the masks, that was his favorite. That was the one he liked. For whatever reason, as soon as they went with the Shatner face, everybody just was scared of it.
Well, he widened the eye holes, he painted it white, and he did something with the hair. I don't remember what it was.
And I think that's where the idea of the shape comes from. He's just so like there's no readable reference. He's so plain, and I think that's what's most unsettling. Is it's just like there's nothing spectacular about it, but at the same time, catching glimpses of that in your peripherals, in dim light. Oh no, like that is scary.
And another thing, if I could go on another rant in 2 minutes.
Please do.
Okay, so the head tilt. He does it in the first movie.
Badly.
Badly? But there's a point behind it. This is supposed to show that he is admiring his work. But after that, they do it in every single freaking movie. Every time he pins someone to the wall.
You want to know?
I know why.
What? Well, you sure you want? You sure you know and you want to know?
Humor me, darling.
It was literally just like a bland direction.
Yeah.
Like it was literally just a
turn your head.
Do this thing. And that's why when you watch that shot, he does it like 4 times. It's because like everybody was always like, and I even just recently saw this in a comment section on something about the new movie Halloween Kills, praising the current Michael
He's doing
actor.
Fantastic.
He is, absolutely. The thing is, what he is doing and what he is being directed in is intentional. What
Yes.
Nick Castle did in the original,
It was just a
the
dude.
dude is not a physical act. Like the dude was one of the ones that helped get the movie made. It was literally just a matter of,
He owns the
hey,
property now.
anybody can be this character. Do you want to do it? Yeah.
That's the point
And
behind
so
Michael Myers.
everybody's always like, "Oh, he walks just like him," and it's just it lists like 10 reasons why it's the most scary. Like,
Yeah,
dude
because
was
he's acting
dude
like Nick Castle.
who was a dude that just walked.
Yeah,
Like that's what's funny
that's
about
just
it
his
is
walk.
we make it so mystical.
Yeah,
We're like Nick Castle's amazing because he had all these intrinsic thoughts and all these other things. Like, no.
it's like the Harrison Ford point. He just does that.
The dude just like it happened and we made it important.
Yeah,
Like it's just so crazy.
we
Um
deify these characters to a point where we forget.
and we want it to matter because we can't just be like, "Oh, I love when he does the head tilt thing."
I hate it.
Like we have to justify. Like, no, I
Yes.
love it's such an artistic thing, and it just adds so much depth to his character because you can see he really
It doesn't.
it doesn't do
It's stupid
anything.
after the first movie.
And then so yeah, like that's one of my biggest
Yeah.
nitpicks is how deified the first film
Yeah.
is.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I love it when he pins people to walls. It's one of my favorite things he does. Because, those walls, they need to be decorated.
Sure, and any random kitchen knife will just hold the weight of an
It's a great
average
kill.
body.
Okay, I like that kill.
I like when it makes sense.
It's dumb, and I love it.
So I don't. So the mask, yes.
The mask, yes.
And I think that's the thing is they try to physically recreate it. They tried to make those.
Yeah.
Um.
You can tell when it gets mass produced.
Yeah, you can tell when it was made for the film. It looks made.
Mhm.
The first one looks real because it is real.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until the reboots and the recent sequels, I think, that they did a good look for Michael again.
I agree.
So you have the pretty solid Halloween 2. Can definitely give our seal of approvals for, but once you get into 4, 5, and 6, you
Mm-mm.
start to see the curse. So and that's one of them.
Curse of Michael
That's Halloween 6 is the curse of Michael Myers. You see that the curse of Michael Myers isn't that he kills people; it's that he
His
kills
movies
sequels.
are bad.
Yeah, he's not good at sequels.
None of these stories go anywhere. Like, we barely follow up in the next movie. Okay,
Right.
I'm just gonna.
Which is exactly
I'm
why.
making
So we
myself
get
angry.
Halloween H2O.
Yes.
So fun fact: this was my first Halloween movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I watched it with my mom.
This came out around the time I was getting into these kinds of films, I was very young. If people do the math, I was watching this along the likes of, of Jason X. I was watching this along with Child's Play, Predator, Alien, all of these movies. So it wasn't out
Yeah.
of place.
No, it was
Um,
2000s horror.
It was
'Cause it was the 2000s.
just what I grew up with. Some people had Care Bears. I had serial killers.
Oh.
It turned out fine. So
It turned out.
the reason we watched this movie though is literally because if you listen to our recent episode where we recount our first podcast episode, yeah, we celebrated 100 of our Star Wars centric main show episodes recently, and part of that I recount how I got into Star Wars and how one of my earliest Star Wars memories is finding a recorded tape that held seemingly Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
It was Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, but to my child brain, I was like, oh my gosh, how did George Lucas get in my house and put this here? So clearly I'm an idiot with box tapes, titles, any of that, right? So of course, when I find this on the shelf, I'm like, oh wow, it's water. I don't remember exactly what my thought process was, but I was like, H2O, water. And I remember like thinking this was the stupidest movie because I was like, "Where's the water?" Like I see this weird dude, this funny night guard. Where's the water though?
You had no context.
This is a high school. Why? Like there's no water here. There's not even a pool. It was so stupid.
You were thinking you were gonna watch The Faculty.
I don't know. I don't know. I was really into shark movies at the same time. Like I loved Deep Blue Sea and all that. So I
Love
guess
that movie.
I loved for whatever reason these horrible like monster movies, Lake Placid and Anaconda and such. So I was like, surely this goes along with that. Michael Myers
Michael Myers is gonna hold
is
you
the
tight,
scariest
like
of
you're
great
close as
sharks. So anyway, so I ended up watching this movie, and um, what's funny is this was very similar to like how I started with Alien Resurrection,
Mhm.
Also a Halloween title, but I started with Alien Resurrection. Was like, wow, this is a fun, crazy movie. I love these creatures, and then retroactively being like, oh, you like this? You should see the good one, right? Of course, commentary from my mom.
Yes, of
Um,
course.
and so then seeing Alien and whatnot. So similarly, watch this, stupid because there's no water, and then she's like, okay, let me show you a good one, and then I go back and see some of the earlier films and everything.
Yes.
Anyway,
I love your mom.
this is a good movie.
Yes, it is a
I'm
very good
I'm
movie.
biased because I have that nostalgia, but it's actually a really good movie.
Having gone back and rewatched it.
You don't have to agree with me. I'm just
I
saying.
know.
It's a good Halloween movie. Okay, we're talking in the
It's a
bubble
good
of bad
2000s film.
Michael Myers movies, right? Like
Yeah.
we're only comparing these to other Halloween films.
Yeah.
In that realm,
In the realm of Haddonfield, which doesn't even take place in Haddonfield.
right? It doesn't beat other
It's better than
classics.
Jason Takes Manhattan, which is my
That's your bar.
my
I get it.
ranking.
I'll work with that. I loved Jamie in this. I thought this was a great
Jamie is
follow
fantastic.
up to Laurie.
Can we talk about Jamie Lee Curtis for a second?
Sure.
Because she is a delight. She is a freaking peach of a human being, and I hope only good things for her for the rest of her life.
She's a wonderful person. She's very funny. She's
So
very
funny.
normal and real. Like Freaky Friday is probably the most accurate portrayal of her.
Yes.
Where that like she just showed up to work and played herself. I think like she's just genuinely awesome.
I'm like the Crypt Keeper.
And I think this
I love that
is
movie.
right around that time where she just was really being recognized and hired to be a lot of herself.
Yeah.
That's not to say like that's not a downplay of her acting. Like she still had a
Oh,
job to do,
she's fantastic.
but I think so much of it came natural because she put so much of herself in the characters.
It's the same thing with Knives Out. I think she does such a good job because she's a sassy mom.
Versus the first two Halloween movies where I think she's played up to the stalked babysitter side of
Yeah.
it of no, this is innocent girl. This represents all innocency of young women and everything. Like this is what we must protect. This is I feel like it's almost two different characters, but I will say,
Mhm.
as a preview to some of my later opinions, this is a better follow up to Lori and probably one of the more accurate ones. Like the ones where I'm like, I can watch 1, 2, and H2O and it's the same character
And
for
just
me.
ignore Resurrection altogether.
Yeah, absolutely.
Resurrection's hot
Just leave
garbage.
it where it is. This is either a really good ending or what you know to be a really good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But you don't confirm it. Don't go to the next one to confirm it.
Agreed.
Because the first 30 minutes of Halloween Resurrections is not worth it.
It's really not. I don't like Resurrection. It's not good. But you know what? I know someone who does like it.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not gonna out them.
Oh.
Like-
We don't want the man coming for them.
No, but
Um,
like she is someone who I trust her horror opinions, but she does like this
I
movie.
don't know this person. I owe them nothing. That's a bad take. This is not a good movie. So yeah, H2O was a really good. Here's what worked in the previous ones. Here's what's modern. I mean,
Yeah.
again, Scream had just come out. Like this is what works now. It takes new and old very well, and then Halloween Resurrection does the same thing that Halloween 2 suffered from, and what so many other slasher and horror films suffer from.
Made
Of
a sequel just to
it
make
was
a
really
sequel.
yeah, it was really popular. Let's do another one real
Yeah.
quick. No plot, just do.
We're gonna add Busta Rhymes.
And you get a movie that just sucks. There's not much great about it. Like I said, it has nothing to do with the Halloween story, which at least at this point involved his stalked girl vendetta. Like at least he had a point of going after Lori
Yeah.
of you attempted to kill me.
No, this is just him killing people because he's Michael Myers.
Yeah, it's just Michael Myers in Spooky House.
Yeah.
Like it could have been much like 4, 5, and 6. It could have been any character. It could have been
Yeah.
its own entity altogether, and yet they slap Michael Myers on it. And here's the irony when they do that: you don't get a good Halloween movie, and you don't get a good horror movie when you do that.
No, you
You
don't.
could have at least had a good horror movie that had nothing to do with Michael Myers, but you decided to jam this character into your nothing movie.
Yeah.
So I will say it's better than 4, 5, and 6. Like, I can watch this one.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like there's at least levity to it, whereas 4, 5, and 6, because it tries to be elevated. It tries to have a plot, and it does so bad at it.
It really does.
That-
It's got what's her face, Tyra Banks in it.
Yeah, it's just this just doesn't do a great job, but it's viewable, I'll say. But yeah, it's worth skipping. Like, so at this point, your Halloween watch through includes
You're weaned out.
1, 2, and H2O,
Exactly.
in my opinion. That's a fine
slightly disagree.
That's a fine set.
This is a fine mess of turnips.
But yeah, Halloween Resurrection sucked so much that it put Michael Myers to bed for a good while.
A very good while.
Until very much reinvented and rebooted with Rob Zombie in 2007.
I'm gonna let you talk.
So I really, really enjoy this movie. I think it is a Halloween movie worthy of the kind of icon that Michael Myers had become. So like everybody views by that point this legendary character, and I just never saw that. I'd seen bad movie after bad movie. The first one was really good. The second one was fine, but overall, it's just never been. I never got the hype. And then I feel like Halloween 2007, Rob Zombies, comes along and gives you a character that deserves that level of like hype and interest and everything. Um, it's a, f- I think it's a really good, well-made film, and on top of that, I feel like it honors the first film very well. I feel like it references very well, and they really attempt at recapturing a lot of the motifs, but in a more modern and a much scarier way. Uh, in the meantime, Rob Zombie actually gets to go back and fix things that the later films tried to do for the first film. They give him a backstory. They make him make sense. And they keep the best thing that Halloween 2 did and make them siblings.
Mhm.
I think it's the stupidest thing in the world to like disconnect that. Otherwise, it's just like for Halloween 1 as its own film, I get it. Crazy man stalks random girls, right? But then he keeps coming back, and he keeps coming back, and he keeps coming back. Why? Like, he could kill anyone he wants. He could do whatever he wants. Why keep coming after this girl? It makes sense that there's a familial connection, I think. So I like that early on they established that's true here. That's his motivation, right? Uh, and and then you've got so much like with Friday the 13th with Jason, it's the later portrayals that are the most iconic for me. You get, um, oh my gosh, his name just escaped me. Kane Hodder. There we go.
Oh yes.
You get Kane Hodder,
Love Kane
who
Hodder.
is, even though he comes in the seventh film,
Yeah.
um,
7.
you no, it was before that, right? Was it
Wait,
6?
yeah, it was 6.
I think it was 6. Um, Either way, you get him coming in halfway through, and now he is,
He's
much respect
Jason.
to everybody else, he is Jason.
Yeah.
For me, Taylor Maine is Michael Myers. This dude is a freaking meat tank. This dude is
He
a
is the midnight
wall.
meat train.
He's huge. He is massive, and he's one of the friendliest dudes ever. Like, I love that. I love
Mhm.
that they finally made Michael Myers scary. Like they finally emphasized, no, you should be afraid of the boogeyman. Like he's not just some random stalker. Like he is a monster. And yeah, it's done in a film that has some very raunchy bits, some very grotesque bits because it's Rob Zombie.
Mhm.
I think the things I like outshine that so much that like it doesn't bother me as much. And the first film is definitely not very Rob Zombie in
The
my
second
opinion.
one,
The
though.
second one is. I'm not arguing for that one. That one's horrible. You don't need to watch that one though. Just watch 2007 and appreciate it, please.
I don't like these movies.
You just don't like Rob Zombie.
It's not that I don't like Rob Zombie. I enjoy Dracula as an album. But like I don't know. His filmmaking style is not my cup of tea, if that makes sense. Like I'm not a huge fan of I think House of a Thousand Corpses is a fun movie to watch if you're just watching it in a group, but I don't like Devil's Rejects
hmm
and I don't like Three from Hell
hmm
because they are so Rob Zombie.
hmm
And you know what? There are people who love those movies, and who am I to poo-poo the fact that they like those movies? They're just not for me personally.
That's fair.
And I can't really, well, I can put a couple fingers on a couple of things that I don't like about it, but like, whatever, man. Just ain't for me.
I get that. And I didn't come here to change your mind because I know I'm not going to.
I did not come here to chew bubble gum.
I'm just going to end up frustrated.
Yeah. Because I'm stubborn.
Yeah, and I really have strong feelings about this movie.
And that's fine.
And it's just going to be what it be. I know you don't like it, and I know a lot of people don't. And here's the thing: is like I'm not defending all of Rob Zombie's work with this. I'm not excusing everything, and I'm not saying that a lot of things that he does in his films and with his films aren't problematic. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying that I think in one case he got it mostly right.
Because he is a fan of Halloween.
Yeah, and that's something. And if anybody's seen, he's working on the Monsters, a little bit of a passion project of his. What I found is if he really cares, he will get more right than not.
Yes.
If you pay him to make a movie that will make money, he will do that. He is the Michael Bay of horror films. Am I wrong? Like, he will make a movie that will make money and look good doing it and piss a lot of people off,
Yeah.
but he'll make it and you'll be okay.
You know what?
Not you, I mean the company.
Oh no, I know you were kind
Yeah.
of talking to me there a little bit. Because you know how I reacted when I found out that he was doing the Monsters.
Yeah. And I'm optimistic about it because I've seen what he can do with something he
Yes.
like I've seen what he can do with a passion project versus because literally, here's the thing. The first movie he was
Yeah.
brought on, he like just banged his head at a wall to get this movie done.
Yeah.
Then they were like, all right, we're going to make another one, right? Because that was so good. And he didn't want to do it. And you can tell in the next movie.
Because he just made a Rob Zombie music video.
Right. Like, and when you look at House of a Thousand Corpses, where he sets up this thing that was never meant to go anywhere, it just was what it was.
Yeah.
And then all of a
We had
sudden,
Chop Top. That was great.
it gets followed up with sequel after sequel, where it's just a matter of, I mean, sure,
Eh.
I can make another movie if you want, and you pay me enough, sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that passion can't still be in those sorts of projects. It's just you get a different product, right? Transformers, oddly enough, in 2007 as well, is a whole different film than every other sequel that came after it.
I agree.
Because
Money.
getting the first one right was important.
Yeah.
After that, it's just a matter of give this man enough money and he will make a blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
We will make our money back plus.
This is a profitable train wreck.
Yes, exactly. And that's most of Rob Zombie's films.
Yeah.
I just think he gets so much more right here. I love the backstory. And here's the thing. You cannot tell me that this did not help get Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills back.
Don't get me wrong. I appreciate what it did for the series.
Because you watched 2018 and Halloween Kills clearly took influence. Let's get a bigger guy. Let's get a physical actor. Let's amp up the scare of what this beast can do. Bruh, Tyler Mane did it first.
Yes, he did.
Get off my porch.
Why are you on my porch,
I just
sir?
and it's not. You have genuine critique of Rob Zombie. I get that, but it's just like when people write out the Michael Myers of his film series, and don't recognize the similarity with this resurrected one.
Well, I appreciate Kid Michael. Kid Michael was great in that movie. I think he did a fantastic job being creepy freaking kid.
Right.
And I think that Taylor Mane did a fantastic job as adult Michael.
Gosh, I love that. I love that
man.
Do you
need a
minute? It's him and Ian White who did the later Predators of the Predator versus Alien movies, where
fantastic.
Something about it's one of those things where it's like Kevin Peter Hall, amazing man, really loved the craft of physical acting and mimicry and everything, and he brought that to the first two
Jones.
Predator films. Absolutely. There's something about someone that sees that and is inspired by that and does their own thing that somehow reaches me where I'm just
Yeah.
like, this is such a love letter, right? And so Ian White coming in to play Scar in the newer movies and Wolf in AVPR, you can see the love letter of work that he did to capture what someone else did.
Yeah.
And Taylor Maine, I see the same thing of like you can see how he crafted this character and did so much with it, with not a lot to work from, but clearly elements that people enjoyed. And so I think he did just fantastic with it,
He
and
did beautifully.
I love his portrayal of Michael.
Yes.
As I said, I'm not defending, and I'm not. I don't even feel the need to discuss Halloween 2,
No.
Rob Zombies, or H2 as apparently it's called. Um,
Fine.
it's fine.
Brad Dourif is in both of those movies.
The best
We
thing
forgot
about
to mention
the
it.
best thing about the second one is Brad Dourif. By
The
the
best
way,
thing about any movie with Brad Dourif
is Brad
is
Dourif.
Brad Dourif.
Um,
Dune 1984 is fantastic, but Brad Dourif is in it,
uh,
and it's fantastic.
so Taylor Maine again did a
Yeah.
great job.
He do good.
But yes, this was definitely more. We're not going to dictate you. We're not going to tell you what to do. Make a movie, and I think we get same thing I've criticized previous films for. Right? I'm going to be fair. When you make a movie just to make money and don't actually care about the content,
It's gonna be worse.
you see it in the result. So if anything, I would encourage giving Halloween 2007 a chance, and I highly recommend ensuring like detox yourself of any like existing Rob, because if you go in
Yeah.
with existing Rob Zombie motifs,
Yes.
like because it's not even it really doesn't even compare to like House of a Thousand Corpses or anything
No.
else he's done. Really, it's very tame by comparison.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, I will not, you know, poo-poo Captain Spaulding as a character in the slightest. He is a fantastic
Oh
creepy
yeah,
clown.
and the
He's the best part of
and
that
let's
series.
and I love every reference that Rob
Yes.
gave in that one. All right, we get Danny Trejo, right? We get Sid Haig. We
Sid
get
Haig.
I don't remember
Gotta
his
have
name,
Sid
but
Haig.
the guy that Michael gets his jumper from, the trucker,
Oh,
who was the
whoa.
pimp in
He was
those
the
movies. Yeah,
he
like
was in From Beyond, which is
it.
fantastic.
He gets all of his friends together, and dang it if they don't do a good job,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So.
passionate. I love it.
But Rob Zombie's Halloween walked so that Halloween 2018 could run.
Ooh,
In my
do I
opinion,
love this movie.
2018 is near perfect.
Yeah.
David Gordon Green, who did this and Halloween Kills, under great influence of the classics, produced a really great sequel. I've
So
already been
incredible.
upfront with in sharing my positives of other films. I think it's apparent what I don't like about this movie. So
Yeah.
I guess first of all, since I've talked a lot about what I really like about a very least favorite Halloween movie, what are your opinions and what do you like about Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills?
I love both of these movies so much because they have taken elements of previous slasher movies and just redone them and done them beautifully. Laurie Strode is fantastic in this movie, in my opinion, because I love a crazy grandma. Um, I I like the dynamic of the relationship between the mother and the daughter because of the complicated nature. Like, how do you raise a kid after living through what you lived through to not be paranoid? Honestly, I like. I know you like the sibling connection. I kind of prefer the idea that Michael's after her because she got away. And that's the only reason. Because it kind of makes sense for why he would go back and kill Tommy Doyle and Meredith and everybody else. Because they got away that night. I don't know. It makes sense in my mind.
Part of the big reason it doesn't work for me is because it's so random in the first one, right? It
Getcha?
retroactively tries to make it seem intentful, and it's not set up that way, right?
Mhm.
Um, for all intents and purposes, until Halloween 2, Halloween 1 is happenstance. It's this crazy guy that just gets a liking for a girl and decides to kill her
Yeah.
and her immediate friends. Um, it doesn't work for me, right? Um, I think in some ways it gives presence to again what Dr.
Mhm.
Loomis was fearful of this monster of a man, this pure evil, the kind that will come back after you. So in that way, yeah, it works for me that he would hunt her down.
Yeah.
But I quickly lose air with how persistent he is, I think is my thing.
I get
Um,
that.
I just think that so much trouble is thrown his way for going after this random girl. Too much for it to be random.
I get that.
So I just appreciate the sibling thing is just such a clean, for me, it's a
Yeah.
clean why. Why
Yeah.
her? You know?
And I think part of what makes me like this movie is I love the characterizations. I cannot for the life of me Kate? Is that her
The
name?
daughter?
Yes,
Maybe.
I think. No, it's Karen. Karen is her name. I remember
It would be.
it would be because I remember thinking, yeah, that's a Karen. For the first like half of the movie.
Yes, it is canon.
Yeah. And I really like the way that she acted in this movie. She's been in so many other things.
I was gonna say
cannot
it's the only
remember.
Judy Greer movie I like.
Judy Greer, that's her name. Yeah.
And so just a quick shout out because I mentioned and I didn't remember it. I have it now in front of me. James Jude Courtney.
James Jude
James Courtney
Courtney.
as Michael Myers is a great casting.
He does a great
Don't
job.
as a legacy Myers, he's great.
Oh, he's fantastic.
The last thing I'll say about it, so I just don't harp
Yeah.
on, is in my headcanon, they're still siblings.
I get that.
Like, because this goes directly to Halloween 1, right? For me, my headcanon is, and I know they throw in that line specifically to spite me,
Yeah.
of no, this is what people made up. Like,
Well,
yes, it is what we made up, and it comforts me at night. Shut up.
you were comforted by Laurie Strode.
I just like it better. Like,
I get that.
you know what? My headcanon is that Kukruk is still somewhere in the Jedi Temple.
And
My
he is.
headcanon is also that Laurie and Michael are
Yeah.
still siblings.
Well, and like I can talk for hours how much I love Crazy Grandma Laurie Strode, but also just be a hot grandma
So
Laurie
this
Strode.
was the other thing for me, right? So and I don't want it to be a complete complaint
I
fest.
get you.
Um,
Oh, you're a perfect. I can complain about Rob Zombie. You can
I
complain about these.
didn't feel like they earned the Sarah Connor T2 take. I just do I get that trauma would change her? Do I think she would raise her child differently? Yeah. I don't think it would have without the sibling thing, without the later sequels, for it's just a bit extreme for that one encounter, right? Like, here's the thing. I'm speaking from someone who hasn't been chased by the boogeyman. So like
Not yet.
I know somebody's gonna throw that at me as a counter, but I'm not saying she wouldn't be traumatized and live and do things different. I'm just saying I think that what we got was a little extreme,
Yeah.
right? Because here's the difference. Sarah Connor knew that the Terminators and Skynet would try again.
Yeah.
She had reason to be afraid.
Yeah. I get that.
Lori, for the most part, didn't until she found out that Michael escaped again.
Well, I think you could also add on the fact that he got up after falling out of a second-story window and being shot.
All the more reason he should have died. I like that Halloween Kills goes back and justifies that he was quote unquote saved.
Yes.
Right. What I'll say, I think this is a great example of how sometimes repeating is okay because 2018 and Halloween Kills are both full of thick references and
They
retakes
are.
of original content, but it works. I'm
I
not
agree.
wholesale saying that every new like Freddy movie should directly lift things. I don't think it works for
No.
everything. It really works here though.
That's why
It
New
really
Nightmare is
does.
so good.
For atmosphere, I think it works well.
And speaking of Halloween Kills, this was one that we were watching, and I kept looking at you to see if you had the same reaction as I
And
did.
I did not.
And you did not.
So
I loved it so dang much.
yeah.
And I was
So
vocal about that.
2018, I feel like we've sparsed out with our opinions
Yeah.
on like you like the new Lori, you like the direct follow up where he's unconnected. I don't as much. Those are literally the only problems I have with that movie, though.
Yeah, it's a
I gotta
good
say,
movie.
Halloween Kills for me is flat, but it's pretty good. It's a really good movie, and it's as good as you can hope for in that it's not bad. Like what I mean by that, like okay, first again in the Halloween
In the
verse,
Halloween Haddonfield
you
universe.
either have good movies or very very bad movies. In most of the time, here we have an example of it didn't outdo the first one,
Mhm.
but it
Which it wasn't
didn't
meant
do
to.
anything bad.
Yeah.
You know? And so I get where some people are like bored with it or some people expected more. I mean, I guess me too, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I'm also fine with what we got.
Yeah, and it had some very great moments, like the mob scene in the hospital. I think that was fantastic
I
filmmaking.
hated that
You hated it?
so
Why
much.
did you hate it?
I really, 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 really hate mob mentality stuff.
That's the point.
It gets to me so much. I mean, I physically do like that. When we were watching this the first time, after that scene, I didn't absorb anything. Like
Yeah.
I was so uncomfortable after that. I don't know what it is. There's something about scenes and films that use scenes like that where mob mentality takes over and someone innocent or not even innocent, but just not deserving of what they gets
Yeah.
something. Like
Well, it's
it got to me.
because we've seen the worst.
Yeah,
We've
well,
seen
yeah,
very bad instances of that happening in real life.
and I think that's the thing is it was
It made
hard to say
you
in that it was just too real
yeah.
for me to be entertained at best or at least indifferent at worst.
Yeah.
Um, and so that one really just got to me. At least with H2O, right? Like something similar happens, but you don't know it. The guy's wearing a Halloween mask. It's easy to be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is Michael. Let's get him." Versus this one where it's clearly just humanity at its worst
Yeah.
taking control, and I hate when art is too much like life, I guess.
Here's I get it. I get that completely.
Yeah.
And I I appreciate you being honest about that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and that's a completely me thing.
Mhm.
And like I said, for the first time, it dictated my opinion about this.
Yeah.
Um, minus that scene, I have a very different opinion about the film.
Yeah.
So, which is what I've said, and that it's fine.
This movie is in even more like I'm not going to say ham-fisted because I don't think it's that bad. But it is very much driving in the reality of who the character of Michael is, and that is
Right.
pure G-dang evil.
Yeah.
And he is the metaphor that is used to describe it like a David Lynch film.
Sure.
And I think it's kind of a manifestation of what happens when we look a little bit too hard at evil
Mm-hmm.
and then become the evil ourselves.
Right.
It's like the scene in Animal Farm where the pigs are sitting at the dinner table with the humans and you can't tell the difference between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read Animal
Nope.
Farm? Okay.
But somebody gets that
Someone
reference.
out there got it.
Yeah, like when you stare back at evil and somehow get this righteous fear, like this
Like Batman.
obligation um to deal with evil, you then become the evil.
Exactly.
And
Like Batman.
and I see that, and Dr. Loomis was a metaphor poorly for that in the earlier films and everything. Didn't even mention Malcolm McDowell
No,
as
we didn't.
Dr. Loomis.
I love Malcolm
I
McDowell.
I hated that.
Absolutely.
He like they clearly went a different route with that, which I don't mind
You
entirely.
don't like hot Malcolm McDowell?
I thought he was fine. I like that they just didn't even try to make him a good guy though.
Not in the slightest.
I love that they just went straight for no. This guy's problematic too.
Oh, that's a problem I had with Halloween 2018 was the doctor. I remember
You didn't
that.
like that?
I didn't like him. I thought
Just as a
the actor was great.
faux Loomis kind of thing?
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't think that they should have replaced Loomis.
Here's the thing. Like most of that still transpires without him.
Yeah,
Right? Like the bus
exactly.
crash, like the stabbing of the one cop.
Dude,
All of that still happens without the doctor.
exactly. He is ancillary. to the
So
plot.
that's one of those elements where it's just like the trope of we've got to have crazy doctor, right?
Yeah.
No, you don't. No,
You
you
don't.
don't. You don't.
He had a nice mustache,
Um,
but that's about it.
so as you said, Halloween Kills, I think, exists to drive home this this iteration of Michael
Mhm.
Myers, right? It's another
Yeah.
example. It's a it's an outing purely to show that he is pure evil
Evil
and all that.
dies tonight.
Which again, I think both of these films take elements that Rob Zombie did right, couple that with story elements of the classics that were
Yeah.
right, and then you produce a sequel that's, at least for 2018,
Yeah.
near perfect, and then a decent follow up to that.
And I'll say, there is a problem that I had with Halloween Kills.
hmm
Michael should have died, in my opinion. I think
The problem,
it would have been better
here's the
if
thing.
Michael had
So
died.
when Halloween 2018 was successful, they immediately were like, "All right, great, we're gonna do two more and finish this out," because the
Yeah.
next one is Halloween Ends. It comes out next year, right?
Yeah.
I think then they started working on this one and realized, crap, we don't have enough for two movies,
They
guys.
killed Tommy Doyle.
And so, like, that's my thing is they killed all the legacy and
They
so much of
killed
the marketing.
They killed Big John and Little John.
I don't. Well, I care because I love them, but I don't care. Like they killed all the legacy characters
Yeah.
that were in all of the freaking marketing. Like they leaned on that so much. Like, and that's one thing I'm not excited for is this trope of Jamie Lee Curtis is the only legacy that matters. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Paul Rudd's gonna show up in the next one.
again, I feel like they overcommitted to two films
Yeah.
following 2018, and they needed to continue this past. I do think that it could have ended here,
Yeah, I agree.
but
That
it's not, and hopefully they can do a good job with the next
Michael
one.
has some very good mass killing scenes in this movie.
hmm
It's the opening scene with the firefighters. I thought that was great. It got me energized for the rest of the
Halloween
movie.
2 did it first with the
I
fire.
know.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
Actually, I
But
think there was a Rob Zombie bit. Like there was a bit in there where
yeah.
there was fire, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
The imagery of Michael standing in the basement when the basement's on fire is beautiful.
Oh yeah. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
but um,
And then you had the firefighter scene and
yeah.
then the scene at the end. I thought that was fun.
Mhm.
It didn't have to make
Well,
sense.
and that's the thing, right? So you have the beginning and the end of this that are connected, and then you have everything in between that's just killing spree. Like it's just to emphasize this character and
Yeah.
show him off, right?
Ooh, the
This is all.
boyfriend's kill was good.
This is what everybody likes, right? Michael Myers just being a monster.
Yeah.
Well, we like it when Rob Zombie doesn't direct it, apparently.
I'm
No, I'm just
sorry.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
I like I said, it's just this film leans on some of that made that movie so good.
Yeah.
It's just I get it. Rob Zombie's not necessarily the name to attach to things, but um, I do like that Michael Myers is actually and
He's
same thing.
imposing.
Same thing I said of 2007. I say here, Michael Myers is now worthy of being a horror icon again.
Agreed.
Not since the likes of the first two films has he been the kind of character that deserves to be ranked as high as Chucky, as Freddy, as Jason. You know, these big names and
Good job,
icons.
kid. You earned it.
Yeah, I think he has claimed a spot. He's gotten a few good movies that have made up for several bad ones.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the abnormal. Usually you get a good number of good ones and a few bad ones that ultimately kill a character. Like, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street, great example of losing steam with a character because eventually we just had one really, 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 really bad one,
Yeah.
and now nobody's interested anymore.
And that's the thing with horror franchises is you have to take the good, you have to take the bad, you take them both, and then you have the fact of life.
Yeah, poetic.
Well, theme song. But you get movies like Freddy's Dead. You get movies like Jason Goes to Hell and Jason Takes Manhattan. Does that cancel out the good in that series? Does it cancel out Friday Part 7? No, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you have to find the balance.
hmm
Like it just piggybacking off of what you said, you run into franchises. It's the problem with franchises in general is that there's always going to be one or two that's kind of less than
The
the others.
the more you do the greater the odds that eventually one is going to
Yes.
suck, right?
Exactly.
But I think if you have the right attitude about anything, nothing sucks so much that you can't still enjoy something about it,
And
right?
bringing in fresh new ideas.
Except for most of the Halloween movies.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
otherwise we wouldn't have had an episode to talk about. But no, you can still watch most of these. Maybe
Yeah.
you enjoy ones we don't. We'd love to hear from you
Tell
guys.
me about it.
But at the end, I think we agree. Michael Myers is a horror icon.
Yes, he is.
He is worthy, and hopefully he's ending next year, as the title would suggest.
Dear God, let him die.
I think it's good. I think now's a good time to end it, as much as we want to attach it to the original, right?
Yeah.
As far as the original Michael Myers, I think it is time for Halloween to end. A reboot in the future, maybe. Who knows? But I definitely think we can't keep, like, we're not gonna have in like 2033, like, oh, Michael Myers, age 98, chasing down Laurie Strode at the nursing home. Like, at some point it gets ridiculous.
I mean,
Unless
make it
they
happen.
make him immortal. They did that to Jason and he got better, so who knows?
He did. Zombie
Um,
Jason made the series better.
So let us know what your thoughts on the Halloween series are. If you saw Halloween Kills, let us know your thoughts on that as well. And odds are we'll be back next year around this time to talk about Halloween Ends. But until then, we have
I am
lots of stuff.
excited.
Like I said, we have a lot of Star Wars. We just hit 100 episodes, and now we're looking to 100 more. We also have tons of NerdyVerse episodes to finish. We've got to catch up to that 100, and so we love a lot of other things that we plan to talk about and we'll be talking about. Just some of the exciting things include a certain giant lizard's anniversary, a certain space fox's anniversary, and then the oddest trilogy of trilogies I think ever, directed by a horror director turned superhero director.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I am
um,
so
lots
pumped
of
for that.
exciting things. So, with that, it's a good reason to subscribe and follow us on social medias. Links in the description for staying connected if you enjoyed this and want more of it. Thank you to our patrons and everybody that listens. And we'll be back soon with something. It's got to be better than any of the Halloween movies.
It's got to be better than 5.
Yep, that's the minimum. So, we'll see you then. Well, we won't see you. You'll hear us. Can't do the actual song or copyright.
Yes, because it sounds exactly like it.
If it gets John Carpenter on the show.